Alright, so hopefully this helps somebody out, but this is my favorite amp of all time. But since I've had it, it's had this issue of the volume dropping out and cutting in and out, and sometimes it won't ever cut back in. And I've been through all kinds of stuff to try to fix it. I even talked to Lee Jackson himself for a long period of time trying to figure it out. And we went through things like the impedance switch on the back, changing tubes, even as far as the pad switch on the back with the effects loop switch. It's a stacked switch. So I'm just going to open it up real quick and show you what I did that seems to have so far fixed it, and I've been playing it for hours now and haven't had an issue with it. And I just happened across this, so let's take it apart and just see what we did. Alright, so of course the first thing I did was I changed the tubes in it. It definitely sounds better because they were old as hell, but that wasn't the issue. And then I went through and watched Lee's videos, which you can still watch on YouTube now, of the mods you need to do to this thing, because they've got some bad connectors in there from the factory. They just sort of cheaped out. It wasn't Lee, but when you had to work with Ampeg, he had to make concessions on his design. So, that involved swapping out this set of wires that goes to the tube board, the power board. Just hardwiring those to the preamp board. And you can watch him do all that stuff. He was talking about removing a resistor somewhere. I can't remember where. Over here somewhere. And that was after you've connected this ground to a ground lug. Yeah, some other stuff I can't remember. But so anyway, I did all that. I reflowed all the pins on each of the power tubes. But let me take that apart so you can sort of see what we're talking about. Oh, and before I get too far, the way I found out my problem was was just playing around with it, and I removed the two center EL-34 power tubes and tested out at half power, and it ran forever without a problem. So that sort of gave me an idea of where to look. I'm not a technician, but I can fumble around until I figure something out, usually. I'm not an expert, but whatever. Okay, so now that you remove this board, I don't know how new all this looks, but when I removed these two center tubes, everything worked. So it started making me think that maybe it was a screen resistor, was failing at some point and making the volume drop. I don't want to go too far in depth unless somebody in the comments asks me, but anyway, so I tested all the resistors on here, and they all read what they were supposed to, so I thought that was strange. But again, I'm not an electronics expert, but I figured if the thing was running and it started to get warm, get hot, maybe they were failing intermittently while it was running. And I didn't test them while it was running because I just had some of these things. But so I replaced each one of these cement resistors. They're 1K ohm, I believe. Yeah, I think so. 1K ohm, 5 watts. I mean, you could probably put a 10 watt, I don't know. But I just went back with exactly what was in there. So I changed each one of these. And yeah, magically it started working. No more problems. I went through a lot of stuff because I could sit here and play with the effects loop and pad switch on the back, and I could sort of jiggle the pad button until the sound came back. So at first, we had decided that was, even Lee thought that might be an issue because the switch could just be bad. I tried cleaning it, didn't help. So then I actually have a spare one of these that I had when I was a kid, and it broke, and I never got it fixed, so I've been sort of stealing parts from it. So I snatched the switch out of that and swapped it out. Made no difference. So then I went through and figured out what the switch was switching, and I made little jumpers, and I just hardwired it to the settings that I would normally keep it at. The pad off and effects loop on. Still no difference. It still did the volume drop out. So then I was reading on a bunch of threads that the impedance selector they could be faulty sometimes because it's like the old Marshall style rotary selectors. So I took that out, tried that one from the old one, didn't help. So then I rigged up a little jumper to I think it was blue to green, just to hardwired at 8 ohms because everything I run here is 8 ohms. I've got all the cabs wired to 8. I don't run anything, multiple cab. There's no reason to. So I've got everything set to 8 ohms, so it didn't matter to me. So I tried jumping that, and that didn't help. And like I said, of course, I did all the mods that that Lee said to do, and that didn't seem to help. And I did remove this resistor here. I don't know if you can see that. That goes to the hum balance switch. He said cut that one out and just use this ground. But in my fiddling with stuff, I ended up putting it back in, and it doesn't seem to make a difference either way. So if somebody's got a good reason for me to keep it out, let me know. But once I did all that, I did have to adjust the hum balance because it was pretty noisy, but it's quiet now, and we'll do a little test in a minute. Trying to see if there was anything else. And people also said if you played with the standby switch, turn it off and then turn it back on, it would start working again. But that again sort of made me think it's got to be something in the circuit to the power section, because you could run the effects send to another power amp and you wouldn't have problems. So it's not in the preamp, it's something in the power section. So anyway, long story short, I did all that stuff, and my fix was changing these 4 resistors. I mean, it was probably 2 of them or something. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, it's done now. So let's put it back together, and I'll do a little sound test for you to show what it does. I mean, that's what you do, I guess. Anyway, yeah, later.